everybody, I'm Eamon O'Neill. I'm the Chief Executive of St Anne's Hospice and very proud to work at such a special place. This is a first for us, a virtual comedy night. Thanks for taking part, thanks for joining in. We've had a really tough time during COVID, as all charities and businesses have. We've had to shut all our shops, although a couple of them have reopened in the last few days. All the fundraising activity has had to stop, as you know, especially our Manchester Midnight Walk. Now that is our big fundraiser of the year. So we're going to be 150 grand down on that probably, which is a real shame. But all the other smaller things that individuals and families and groups do for us, that has all had to go, as have the runs of the marathons and so on. So we've had to be creative. If things don't improve drastically over that period where we've been locked down and when we've not been able to work as we would normally work, we're probably going to be £1 million or more down. So anything you can do to help us is fantastic. Just to give you a bit of an eye-watering statistic, we do get some money from the NHS contracts, but apart from that, we have to raise £20,000 every single day to keep our services free for those people in the community who are at the end of life or who need specialist palliative care. £20,000 every day. It's a huge challenge. We say it quickly so we don't get put off by it. We've got a fantastic team, and tonight you're part of that team. I'm working from home today. That's because my 4-year-old grandson is learning Spanish, and it's his Spanish lessons. He's 4 and he can't even say the word for please. And I think that's poor for 4.
Funding is very vital for the hospice because, as we know, the hospice only gets a very limited funding from the NHS, and the rest of the funding has to be fundraised. And funding is also important because the hospice doesn't look at just the medical care of patients, it looks at the wider health and well-being of patients as well as their loved ones. There's one specific scenario that sticks to my mind was a young patient who had a very terminal cancer with a very young family who were really struggling in an acute hospital environment. So we discussed that with the family and with the hospice team here and prioritized to transfer that patient. But also, I think the more important thing was that that patient was able to have that quality time with the children and with the family. So they were able to actually be a family once again, especially during the last days and last weeks of that patient's life.
There we go, that was Dr. Ash Ahmed highlighting just how important this hospice is for everybody that needs its services. So do donate. Remember to text AHLAFS to 70085. £5 donation does get you into a prize draw for some amazing prizes. What are the prizes have we got? Oh, apparently the voice of Peppa Pig can do you a personalised message. Now that is a cool present, isn't it? Make him swear. That'd be brilliant. Imagine Peppa Pig telling people to fuck off. Oh, I mean, how many times have you told Peppa Pig to fuck off? No doubt if you're a parent, quite a few. So we've got some acts coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. I know, don't worry, we've got 3 acts and then we've got a break so you can go to the toilet. I mean, you can go to the toilet anytime, right? Anytime you want, we're all adults here. We better be, because if there's any kids watching, remember, we're still swearing. Fannies. So we've got 3 acts coming up for you. Now we've got Big Lou, who's absolutely fantastic, wonderful act, Harry Stacchini, beautiful surname, and Kate McCabe. They're all coming up any second now, so make yourselves comfortable, settle yourselves down, and just enjoy yourselves. Do you know what I mean? Life's too short, isn't it? This lockdown feels like 4 lifetimes or so. In a way, have we gained extra time? Probably not, no. Time doesn't work like that, does it? Anyway, here we go with your first act of the evening.
Hello, St Anne's Hospice. I hope you're all well, and thank you very much for letting us get involved with this fundraising event. My name's Harry Stacchini, and I've never done a gig like this before in my entire life. The last gig I did before we all went into lockdown was in a social club in Barnsley in March, and there was about 200 in. It was rough, it was rowdy, they were up for a right laugh, and after I'd finished my set, 3 women stormed the stage, not because of me. They climbed on the stage just as I was leaving and did a slot drop on the microphone stand. So I feel this gig already is going to be very different to that, unless someone's going to come bursting through me office door in a minute. But yeah, never done a gig like this before, so yeah, it should be fun. But it has been weird, isn't it? The lockdown. Sorry, I just had a peanut there. If anyone thinks I've just got a twitch, that was actually a bit of peanut. It has been funny though. The lockdown, I found, it's been a bit strange. I know obviously the 2 metre thing's being respected by most people, and the daily exercise, 1 a day to start with. I was doing mine early on in the morning to try and avoid people as much as possible. But one morning I was running on a canal path, and it's quite narrow, but there was a woman walking towards me with a dog, and as I'm running along, the dog spots me and it just bolts towards me. But the lady just shouted, 2 metres, and the dog stopped. Right, I honestly, I couldn't believe it. I don't know if it was his name or she just trained it that well, but regardless of what happened in the lockdown, that will stay with me for the rest of my life. But it has been a bit weird. I don't know if anyone has got kids that they've been looking after during the lockdown period, because I know my sister, she's definitely struggled trying to balance everything, doing homeschooling and whatnot. And it's good to see as well that there's a lot of people who have actually appreciated the teachers all around the country doing the jobs, because it's taxing. I myself, before I was doing this, used to work in a school, but like a special type of school. It was called a PRU, which is it's a pupil referral unit. So it's essentially for kids who have been kicked out of mainstream school due to like challenging and difficult behaviour. So like in a mainstream school, you've got like 30 kids in a class, something like that, and in a PRU you've got 5, and then there's 3 members of staff, and 2 of them have got a dart gun just in case it kicks off, right? So it's very different, and like the kids that go to these type of schools, they've been through a lot, right? Like they've like quite a lot of emotional issues and stuff like that, and a lot of issues in the childhood. And they would come to me, a guy whose biggest issue in his childhood was the Where's Wally books, right? And I know it's difficult to get the feedback on this, but I imagine you're nodding along. You know what I'm on about here. Where's Wally? World famous. And I understood the game that we had to look for him. But why? That's what I wanted to know. Like, why was there a nationwide manhunt and it was only among children? I asked my dad, right, who's the oracle of information in my life as a kid. I was like, why are we looking for this Wally guy? And with a straight face, right, he told me Wally was a convicted paedophile. Right, and when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because you now know why he hides in children's books. At least that's how I looked at it. But that rocks my world as a kid, because like we didn't call them Wallies. We didn't call them pedos in our house. We called them Wallies, and it's quite confusing, because like, I've seen my dad call another man a Wally, and I'm like, that's Jacob's dad. You know what I mean? But I was doing all that before getting into comedy, so I understand that for teachers it's been quite, or parents especially, it's been quite difficult trying to balance everything, especially school, while being at home. And I think if I was still teaching now, it'd be difficult going back, because especially with the kids I worked with, because they were nice kids deep down, but they just, as I say, quite a lot of issues. One of the lads I remember on the first day of me walking into one of these PRUs, I worked 1-to-1 with an 11-year-old boy, right, whose name was John, and for what 11-year-old as well is called John anymore? Not Jonathan, John, right? Like, what are your hobbies, John? Darts, right? But his ambition in life was to own a vape shop, and he was a Dutch immigrant. And he told me that. I said, what does he fancy doing when you get out of here? And he's like, well, to be honest, I've been... He didn't say what part of Holland he was from. All right, so just bear with me. But he's like, well, to be honest, I've been thinking about having a vape shop. And I actually commended him, because, what kids especially 11-year-olds, have got their heads screwed on like that, because that is an attainable dream, a vape shop. Like, most kids want to be a football player, something like a movie star, but vape shop, that's so doable. You know what I mean? Like, kids have got their heads in the cloud at that age. They don't understand how the world works. They don't understand things like money. I've worked with kids before that have, like, you know, come up to me and gone, like, oh, Jessica's pushed me over. I'm like, so? I've been overdrawn since March. You know what I mean? Get it together, pal, right? But they are interesting places, these schools, when I was there. I don't know if anyone has a family member who's a teacher or anything like that, but I didn't realise before you go into these type of environments, you're meant to essentially have training on how to restrain children. Okay, so I've now got this qualification, and I realise I might look a bit of a soft ass, but all I'm saying is I can batter anyone under 12, right? You know, if you're wearing Velcro shoes, you're getting knocked out. But it's a 2-day course, right? And the only introduction I got before going to the course was an email that just said time, date, and it said bring a packed lunch. That was it. And I just kept thinking, like, what we using the packed lunch for? Are we using it as bait? We trying to, like, lure them in, you know, like, get the fatties. But it was very helpful. But I went on the course a month after my first day, right? And the afternoon on my first day, so I'd had John in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'd gone into something called a red room. And a red room it's essentially a room for kids that have been excluded from the already excluded. So it's like a cage. That's like the best way to put it. And I walk in there, and there's a teacher and a 13-year-old girl called Tatiana, who I'm going to be working with. So I say, good afternoon, Tatiana, I'm going to be working with you this afternoon. She's pointing at me, but looking at the teacher. She's like, I do not like him. I am not working with him because I do not fucking like him. I feel weird about swearing on webcam. I don't know if it's just because my girlfriend's next door. But I'm thinking, right, you know, like, it's the first time meeting her, I'll just play it cool. I said, well, you know, I'm going to be working with you this afternoon. She then looked at me, right, she went, aye, mate, your forehead is fucking massive, right? And, you know, that I thought, I can't come down on her like a ton of bricks because it's the first time I'm meeting her. I said, well, you know, I'm sure we can, you know, have a laugh. And all I said was, do you know what? It makes up 90% of me. Thinking that was just like a nice little joke. And she was like, yeah, but the other 10% is a knob. And I fell apart. I did not know what to do. The teacher was like, Harry, I think it's best, like, if you leave the room here. And I did. I was shook up, I'll be honest. I had to go outside and have a vape with John to calm down. Right? But yeah, I do wonder what Tatiana is doing these days, you know, because I've definitely not heard from her. But yeah, it's been a weird year. I found out last year as well, which last year something happened that I thought was probably the strangest thing that's happened across my lifespan. I found out essentially that I am a mistake. Right? I'm not a planned child. And I'm the only one of 4 that wasn't planned. And I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. But what I found out was I was conceived under the stairs, which I don't really know how to feel about, because, like, you know, how I look at it is the only reason I'm on the planet is because my dad was looking for his shoes, right? And, you know, at no point was he telling me why he kept my mum under the stairs. But when I was growing up, it kind of made sense once they told me that was a mistake, because everyone got ribbed in our house, but I definitely got ribbed the most, because you might not be able to tell from where you are, but I've had to grow into my head, okay? Like, I'm 25, and this is the first week it's fit me, right? I'm on your screen, I might look like the Wizard of Oz, but my nickname as a kid was Harry the Head, right? That's what my mum and dad used to call me. And my dad actually convinced me the only reason I actually got to the egg during the conception, right? I wasn't like the fastest or the strongest sperm. I was just in front, okay? And for the rest of them, it was like being stopped behind a lorry on an A road. You know, they're like, I don't think we're going to get round it, boys. I can't see it happening. Apparently, when I came out with my mum, 2 nurses had me like they were dropping a sofa off, like, where do you want it, love? But yeah, it's definitely something I've had to work with. What's one more thing I can tell you? I've done 10 minutes. I'll tell you this, and then we will all go back to our lives, whatever that may be. But yeah, so one of the lads, right, who I worked with for the longest period of time at this school, was a boy called Marcus, right, and I was thinking about him during the lockdown because like he would be doing his GCSEs in this summer, but obviously that's all been scrapped. But Marcus was like he was just an angry lad, right? Like his natural face was like, do you know when you see someone like walking in drizzle? You know what I mean? Like that was his natural face, just like he was absolutely pissing down everywhere he went, right? Never took a brolly. But me and him got on because we used to have a laugh about whose head was the biggest, because he had a massive head too. And we go back and forth about this all the time. And eventually, right, it got settled one day when we went on a school trip to go and learn about the Romans. And we were being shown around by a guy who is in full Roman attire. And he's showing us all these different helmets that the soldiers wore and whatnot. And he's passing them out for the kids to try on. And he gives one to me and Marcus puts it on, right, and it's massive on him, right, like the eye sockets are like down here, okay? And then when he gives it to me, it fits like a glove. And Marcus is straight away just like, I fucking told you yours was bigger. And the guy showing us round couldn't see we were just having a laugh, and he just snapped at Marcus. He was like, I do not want to hear that language, and especially out of you. And Marcus just looked at him and he went, all right, calm down, Caesar. And I found it hilarious, right, because he was just that type of kid. You could play with him, but the guy couldn't see that we were, you know, he just didn't read it right. And he took it quite literal, and he was like, I think you'll find I'm actually dressed as a gladiator. Like this is what a gladiator would wear. I'm not dressed as Julius Caesar. And Marcus didn't say anything, but he stood up and just looked at him and went, and that was game over. That was, everyone just burst out laughing. So I do wonder where Marcus is, and you know, I hope that I don't know what he's doing. If he did do GCSEs, God, it would have been great if he did history. But thank you very much for listening. This has been an experience. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you raised loads of money for a fantastic cause. Thank you, and good night, good afternoon, or good morning, whenever this is played. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Everyone, this is Kate McCabe. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this charity project. I made a comedy club background. Look, it's brick. I'm also wearing a green t-shirt, so I'm either the Thing from Fantastic Four or I'm literally part of the brickwork of this comedy club. Either way, I'm into it, and I hope you are too. I've also put on my best shoulder padded jacket because I'm a female comedian, so that's what we have to wear. So I put my uniform on today, and we're just going to have some laughs. Comedians, I hesitate to say people, comedians, we are in a weird state right now. Zoom gigs. It's the Schrodinger's cat kind of situation, isn't it? Are people laughing right now? Are they not laughing? I'll never know. So is there a cat in that box? Is there not? Either way, we better poke holes in it just to be sure. Anyway, whether you're laughing or not, we're going to do about 5 or 6, 7 minutes of comedy. I'll tell you some jokes. And then I'll get out of here. And hopefully you have donated to this very worthy cause. Anyway, as I said, my name is Kate McCabe. I'm an American, right? But I do live over here now, so everyone relax. I am unarmed. I've lived over here for about 14 years now. It's a long time to still sound like this, isn't it? I haven't lost the accent at all. I get up and I say, tomato, basil, oregano. And then the guy's like, Domino's isn't open yet. Stop calling. But I have made observations over those last 14 years of living over here. Of course I have. I also love it. I love this country. One of the things I love best about it is loving the free healthcare. Please don't ever let it go away, guys. It's too important. I think everyone can see that now. I think only some of the country understood that it was important. I think a lot of the country now understands that. By round of applause, if you appreciate your healthcare workers, applaud now, and also vote for the party that allocates money to them. Thank you very much. I do love it. Don't ever let it go away. I moved over here riddled with disease. I had them all. I collected them like they were Pokemon. In fact, If you catch one of them twice, it just makes it stronger, which is exactly how Charmander works. Made the observations, of course, in living over here. One of the things I've noticed, you guys have a lot of people in this country called Gary. Everyone watching this knows at least one Gary. I can practically guarantee it. I'm not even sorry about that. Tell your friend Gary, he'll love it. It's just not a very popular name back in the States. We name all of our kids either, I don't know, Steve, or after the actual states like Montana and Dakota and Virginia and Maryland, New Hampshire and Vermont. Those are the ones I know. Pennsylvania. I've got one theory why the name Gary is so popular in this country, and that's because that's as close as you can get to naming your child Gravy without actually naming it Gravy. Like, this is my son, because that's what everyone sounds like where I live in Manchester. This is my son, Gary, Bisto, Oxo, nor Cube, the fourth, because there were three more before him in a long line of Garys. I think one of the things everyone is probably missing right now, just a little bit even, is festival life. It's beautiful weather outside, and people are doing their best, staying at home when they can and being safe when they can't. But we all want to get together and have a good time, don't we? And Britain does a festival very well. I don't go to as many as I'd like to, for a very simple reason. I don't like to be inconvenienced by nature. Peeing outside, okay? Basically, it's harder for women than it is for men. For men, you just have to find somewhere that no one's looking, or where people are looking if you're that kind of guy. Point and shoot, and you're fine. For women, there's a little bit more involved. It's a little bit more of a pain, and I don't like doing it. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been dozens of technological advances aiming to make peeing outdoors easier for women, most of them resulting in funnels. One of the most popular of these funnels is actually name branded, and I bet everyone at home can guess what it is. On the count of three, 1, 2, 3, the Shiwi. That's right. I tell you what, you learn a lot about yourself the first time you use a Shiwi. What I learned about myself is, it turns out I have no idea where my own pee hole is. Not the foggiest. And I'm not going to lie. As a lesbian, that knocked me down a peg. I thought if there's one thing I truly understood in this world, it was the female anatomy. But no, I flew too close to the sun. I remember it very clearly. It was a freezing cold, very drizzly gray morning, and a bunch of us comedians, we were doing a charity hike on Hadrian's Wall, marching in the day and then gigging at night. Now, I had a belly full of coffee, and I really needed a wee, so I thought to myself, well, gosh, I bought that darn thing. I may as well give it the old college try. So I found it in my rucksack, and I put it where I thought my pee hole was, and I let loose. And it was like a fountain at the Bellagio, just jets and streams of water spurting out in exciting and surprising angles. Flashing lights were going off. I string fairy lights down there. You gotta keep it nice for the ladies. Somebody lost on Red 27. It was very Vegas. There was an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a terrible end of that joke, but probably the end we deserve. I did that joke at a live gig once, and I noticed there were two women gesticulating wildly in the audience. And I was like, ladies, what's going on over there? Do you have your own tale of the Shiwi to tell? And the one pointed at the other and goes, this is the CEO of Shiwi. And I was like, oh my Lord, as I live and breathe. Sheila Wee? It turns out that's not her name. That's just what I desperately wanted it to be. But in real life, the designer of the Shiwi is actually called Sam Fountain. And so I think that's a lovely bit of predeterminism there. What else could she be if not the designer of the She-We? I'm going to leave you in just a second, but I did write some one-liners for another gig recently. I'm not really a one-liner comic, but I thought I'd share at least one of them as a punchy way to get out of here. Living in America without health insurance, I was always in fear of surgery. He insisted it was pronounced Sir Jerry, and I wish he'd leave me alone. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I hope you stay safe and that I see you in real life after this is all back to normal. Goodbye for now.
Big Lou here. Hope you're all okay. I was asked to put a little bit on film to help maybe raise some funds for St Anne's Hospice. I know it's a tough time at the moment. People can't get on with normal life, so yeah, not a problem. I'll do that. I'll do my bit for charity. And I think he's Eamon O'Neill. I think he's like the president of the charity as well, and he's a top bloke. So yeah, happy to do it. So my name is Big Lou. I live in Prestwich, North Manchester. I don't know if you know, but Prestwich has got the biggest Jewish community outside of London. 20% of everyone from Prestwich are Jewish, which is, for the fans of Countdown, that's 1 in 5. So 1 in 5 people from Prestwich are Jewish, which proper confused as a kid growing up because I come from a family of 5. And it wasn't me or my mum or dad because we were Catholics. It was either our Dave or our Jaime. Thinking about it, it was probably our Dave. He was a rabbi. So where St Anne's Hospice is, I think it's Gatley, isn't it? I used to work at Manchester Airport, which isn't a million miles away. I used to work in a private jet company. And every day I would meet celebrities. It was amazing. And once we had the Mexican, American, whatever he is, legend Carlos Santana due to fly in for a concert at the arena. So a friend of mine, he had a friend who was really, really poorly with cancer, and he was a massive Santana fan. So he said, is there any chance I can bring Simon to meet Santana? I said, well, you can't meet him. I said, but you can be like in reception when he comes through or something. So we planned it. So I give them a call. They arrived. We're waiting in reception. And all of a sudden, this lad, Simon, pulls out a bag with like 5 LPs in it. So I said, what are you doing? He said, I thought I'd get him to sign these. I said, no. I said, you can see him, but you can't stop him for autographs. That's why they come through a private jet company. So I said, leave them with me. I'll speak to the tour manager. And when they've all, got sorted, I'll get him to sign them. Brilliant. Santana came in. They met him. He was made up. Off they went. So then that night, I was putting Santana back on the plane. These 5 LPs are still sat behind reception and thought, I can't ask him. Santana flew off to London, or wherever he was going. And I then went on eBay and Googled Carlos Santana signed, and I found his autograph. So I practiced his autograph for ages, and I signed all the LPs to Simon. Best wishes, Carlos Santana. Felt a bit bad, but he's already met him. He's happy. About 6 months ago, I got a phone call off my mate Nick and said, hey, do you remember Simon who you got the Santana LPs for, the lad who had cancer? I said, yeah. He said, he's beat it. He's totally beat it. He's all clear now. And he was chatting to me the other day, and he's having a bit of a gathering, something to eat, wants you to come round. So I said, yeah, no problem. So on the night, I goes to Nick's house. We then go to this Simon's house. As we walked in, we have a bit of a drink in the living room, and then he says, right, let's go get something to eat. Went into the dining room, and up on the wall was 5 LPs, all signed by me, framed, expensive frames as well. And I thought, oh my God. And I'm looking at it thinking, I did them. Couldn't believe it. Sat around the table, and then these other people that were with us, this Simon just went, you see all those Santana LPs on the wall? And I thought, oh God. And he said, he did them, pointed at me and went, he did them. And I went, what do you mean? He went, you got him signed for me off Carlos Santana. I thought I'd been rumbled. I hadn't. I can't tell him. And that's why I'm doing it on here, because he'll never find out. So don't say anything. Do you know what I mean? If you know him, Simon, he's called. Another time, the Queen came. This is a proper name drop. The Queen came in to drop off Prince Philip, and Jackie Stewart, the racing driver, was picking him up and taking him to some racing track in Cheshire. So the plane comes in. So my first job was to get Prince Philip and his bag off the plane and into the car and away. And this sums up what a northerner I am, right? What happened next? I am the most northern man I know. Prince Philip and Jackie Stewart, they've gone. All I've got to do now is step onto the plane, which was the Queen's flight, HS125, and the cockpit is just to the left. So as you step on the top of the stairs, one step left, you're in the cockpit. And I had to give the crew the weather and the flight plan. Don't look right, because the Queen's going to be there. Don't look at the Queen. You don't look at the Queen, whatever you do. I got on the top of the plane, turned left, and there's the crew. Passed them the weather. So there's your weather, have a good flight. They went, oh, cheers, mate. I took one step back, and instead of reversing down the stairs, which I'd planned to do, couldn't resist it. And I glanced to my right, and there she was. She was sat there in like a blue suit and a matching blue hat on. She had her handbag on her knee, and she was holding her handbag like this. And she looked at me, and I went, all right. How northern's that? All right. If I'd have said love on the end of it, wouldn't have mattered. All right, love. Couldn't believe it. I just let on to the Queen like that. Shocking. So lockdown's been a bit weird, hasn't it? Lockdown's been weird. As a comedian, as an observational comedian, I've not had anything to see. I've been locked up for 12 weeks. I've not really seen anything. And then the other day, my daughter phoned me. She went, oh, you'll never guess what. So I said, what? She said, she rents her house. So one of the rules of the landlord is no pets. And she bought a cat about 6 months ago. So her son Freddie and the cat are in the house, and the washing machine breaks. So my daughter has to phone the estate agent who looks after the house. They then phone the landlord. Then the landlord dispatched his engineer to go and fix the washing machine. So Holly said to my grandson, listen, you and Keith have got to go upstairs and you've got to stay in your room, and the man can't know we've got a cat. If he knows we've got Keith, we might have to get rid of him. We might be in trouble. Do you understand? And he said, yeah. She said, right, here he is now. You and Keith go upstairs to your room and stay in there and don't let the washing machine man see Keith. Okay, off they go. Washing machine man comes in. He's working away. 2 minutes later, there's a shout from upstairs and it's Freddie. Mum! She went, what? She said, it's Keith. He won't give me my ball. So she went, well, just take it off him. Looks at the washing machine man. Kids. Next thing, 2 minutes later, Mum! She went, what? It's Keith. He keeps jumping up. We'll tell him to stop it. Kids. Looks at the washing machine man again, you know what I mean? 2 minutes later, Mum! She went, what? Keith's pooed on the bed. So she looks at the washing machine man and goes, we've got a cat. Bless him. He didn't say anything anyway, bless him. So that's true. True story, that. It's funny, it just makes me laugh. I miss gigging. I miss the live audience thing. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like gigging. This is hard, this. There's nobody. It's like I'm talking to myself in the flat and a bit weird. There's nothing better than doing a gig. And there's nothing better than doing a hometown gig. I got a phone call not long ago off Prestwich Golf Club. And they said, would you like to come and do the captain's dinner? And I said, I'm not very good at cooking. And he said, we didn't mean that, you idiot. We meant do some comedy. I said, oh, sorry, okay. Yeah, no problem. I said, what's the dynamic of the room? Who's going to be there? What's the numbers like? He said, well, about 150 people, mostly members. There'll be a few guests from other clubs. And we're having a special guest of honour, a woman. So I thought, belting, a stripper. Was it a stripper? I said, who's the woman guest of honour? And he said, Mary Berry. Oh, I got dead excited. I love cakes, obviously. I phoned my nan, who's 98, still lives in Prestwich. I phoned her up and I said, hiya, Nan, it's only me. And she went, what do you want? Like, proper nasty. So I had a phone call from Prestwich Golf Club. They want me to come and do the captain's dinner. And she said, you're not very good at cooking. I said, I've done that joke, you dickhead. I said, they're having a special guest of honour. It's Mary Berry. She went, oh, do me a favour. I love Mary Berry. Will you come to the flat on the night of the gig? I've got something for you to give to her. So I said, yeah, no problem. Bit weird. Night of the gig, went to my nan's flat. And when I got there, she's given me a recipe for date and walnut cake on the back of an envelope. God knows why they can't use paper. This recipe, it's been in her head since she was 18 years old. That's from memory. She's written that from memory, not off the internet, not from a book. It's from memory, and it's been in there 80 years. She gave it me and said, will you do me a favour? Will you give that to Mary Berry? I said, I will do that. That's lovely, that, yeah. That's really lovely. So on the night of the, I went to the gig, and then when I got there, the MC was starting to call the main dignitaries over. Please welcome the chairman of Prestwich Golf Club. He came up, they all applauded. Please welcome the captain of Prestwich Golf Club. He came up, they all applauded. He then said, please welcome our special guest of honour, the Mayor of Bury. The Mayor of Bury. Jeez, what a bastard. I've not told me none, obviously it'd kill her, but I would get the flats for every cloud. Ooh, what a joke to end on. Listen, raise some money, I hope you do. Keep well, we'll soon be out of all this nonsense, and take care. I've been Big Lou. Good night, God bless, best wishes, cheers.
30 to 40% of people that come into the inpatient unit are discharged either to their own home or to a nursing home typically. And there was one gentleman in particular who'd came across from an acute hospital, and he'd been led to believe he wouldn't be able to go home. There was too many risks involved with him going home. But he made it very clear, despite very minimal speech and despite very deteriorating mobility and a loss of one side of his body, that was clearly his wish. And then our job was to try and minimise those risks really and enable him to go home in the safest possible way. So for example, things like telecare were introduced, so he had like sensors on his bed and his chair. And within a couple of days, his partner came back and said it was just so much the right thing to do. She'd been quite concerned that he was going to be on his own for big periods of time, but she said he just looked so at peace and so happy to be in his flat.
3 acts. If you didn't, probably, tell you what, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing I've noticed on the internet. Now, everyone's got an opinion, because there's shit going down. There's shit going down out there. Everything's going to pot. So, if you've got an opinion, and you think, do you know what, this will probably cause a lot of people to be upset. Like, say you didn't enjoy one of the acts, highly unlikely, we're all very good acts tonight. Say you didn't enjoy one of the acts, tell you what you want to do, right? You want to take that opinion, right? Put it in your pocket, right? Keep it there, never take it out. Just have an opinion. Don't have to tell the world about it. It's not that important. You know what I mean? It's like people say to me, oh, I tell you what, you probably have to get a proper job now. Now the comedy's finished. It's not finished, and I had a proper job for a while. Shove up your ass. Anyway, a bit better there. Actually, this is pre-recorded. I could have edited that out because I realised it was a bit better. Couldn't leave it in. Right, we've got another 3 acts. Remember to donate, of course, to 70085. That's text AH. I keep checking. I should have had this ready. SAH laughs to 70085. There's also a Just Giving page which will have all the graphics everywhere. But do donate £5 into the prize draw. That's wonderful. More money for them, then the better job they can do for all the people that really need them. And it's such a wonderful place. So that's. Now, we've got another 3 acts. I'm looking at myself laugh. There was literally no one else in this room. I'm laughing at myself like some sort of lunatic. Now, who have we got in this section? Another 3 wonderful acts. We'll start any second now. Sorry, I'm looking out the window there. There's someone over the window that should not be wearing those shorts. Anyway, we've got 3 acts for you. We've got Howard Anston, we've got Anna Spark, and we've got Freddie Quinn. 3 wonderful acts that will make you laugh loads. So strap in, and we'll have another quick break after these 3, and I'll be back.
Hello, welcome to the St Anne's Hospice fundraiser. My name's Howard Anstock. Thanks for joining me in the lovely spa town of Oldham. You know, it's nice and sunny. Well, I say sunny, it's probably someone set fire to a car on the street again. I'm not saying it's rough, but if you do want to know what a zombie apocalypse kicking off in a Sports Direct looks like, feel free to visit our town centre on a Saturday. This is my first gig with no audience, first gig via camera. And first gig where I'm not wearing any trousers, so you know that's it's a special day really for me. Since lockdown, I mean it's a weird time since lockdown. I've stayed off social media. My friend said, "Is it because of all the depressing stuff going on?" And I was like, "Well, it's mainly to avoid pictures of middle class people's baking, to be honest." I mean, you know, I get it, Susan. You want to brag? You can no longer post a picture of a glass of prosecco on a bar and put, "Don't mind if I do." But now I need to look at pictures of bread, which frankly look like slabs of space debris. The other reason I've stayed off is because since in lockdown, I've been having some radical thoughts, to be honest. I mean, I think we should perhaps scrap the monarchy. I'm going to put it out there. A lot of my middle class friends are quite royal, and it's not a revolutionary stance I'm taking. It's more just I feel quite sorry, you know, for the Queen. I mean, people say the royal family, you know, the Queen brings in tourists. I'm like, well, I mean, she doesn't, because, you know, she doesn't actually meet any of them. It's not like, you know, you're queuing up outside Buckingham Palace and she's coming along trying to flog, you know, like a tea towel or stuff, or, well, it's probably more like a dishcloth now. They've taken Harry and Meghan off, and Andrew has gone off at the side as well. So I just like the idea that the Queen would be wandering along, you know, with like a pen, Duke of Edinburgh, Duke of Wellington, she's not that old, Duke of Edinburgh pen, and just being like, oh, flip it upside down, he's naked. Anyway, but no, I felt sorry for her because I was watching Troopers of the Colour, and I just thought, what is this shit? And Mum said, oh, it's how we celebrate the Queen's birthday, and I thought, we could just club together and get her a voucher for a spa, do you know what I mean? I mean, what pensioner wants to sit looking at soldiers for their birthday? I mean, you know, after 3 hours and they're finally getting to, and here's the RAF, and the Queen gets to look at them go by, I just think, oh, poor woman. Does anyone ever ask her, you know, what does she want to do? And I think it's all the pomp and ceremony stuff I don't get. You know, state opening of Parliament. It's like, just get to work. You know, the rest of us have to, but no, it's like, you know, and all that guy with the stick on the door, what's that about? So I just think, well, you know, for a change, let the Queen mix it up a bit, you know. McDonald's in Oldham is due to open next week. Perhaps she could come and do that. You know, they could keep some of the traditions the night before. The beef eaters could go and check the bogs, make sure there's nobody hiding out. you know. And then when the Queen arrives, Karen could run up to the shutters and bang on it 3 times, you know, because she's always late. And as the Queen's in there reading out the menu, you know, Donna could switch on the fryers or the flurry machine, you know, which never works. But anyway, where was I going with this? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So about 15 years ago, I was a rough sleeper, lived on the streets of Manchester for about 2 years. I will say that Oldham is one of the few places where you can buy a house where I'm a bit like, I'm not really sure I'm doing that much better than when I was homeless, to be honest. It, you know, just feels a bit like I could have done better. I have slept in doorways in better areas of town, to be honest. And my middle class friends were not happy I bought the house because as a gay homeless guy, I was very high scoring at minorities top trumps at dinner. You know, I was like a little golden elephant for them. And I did mention being gay, don't worry. I know there's 3 of us on the bill today, which frankly feels too many. But it's just to reassure any straight people, you know, it's not actually a rally. You know, we're not currently recruiting. So, I mean, we got Schofield this year. What more do we want, really? We can't be greedy. That's the message we're putting out there. And being gay's only ever been weird once. Well, there's only 3 groups of people that I've found that hate us. And that's those people who make wedding cakes in America for a living, which you like, literally apart from starring in a gay porno, that's probably the gayest job on the planet. The people of Chorley, sorry Chorley, I've only... There's only one man in Chorley, actually. I gigged twice in Chorley and both times got shouted at by a man. Which was weird, because the fact that he'd seen me gig there the first time and was a homophobe, that he saw me on again and thought, I've still got stuff I haven't finished saying to that guy yet. And the third one is my Auntie Pat. So it's only because Pat's quite religious. She likes to point out that there's no gays in the Bible. And I'm like, I think Joseph probably was. You know, I mean, no straight man's buying a Technicolor Dreamcoat, are they? You know, that's a bit of a giveaway. And his wife was a virgin. Just putting that out there. So I just like the idea that he came swinging in and Mary was like, oh, that's nice. He was like, get off, it's silk. But there's one time when being gay was awkward. And it's a true story and I'll share it with you, ladies and gents. So when I was homeless, there was a rule that you couldn't have any financial support unless you had an address for a gyro to be sent to. So I put down a female friend's address and put that I was sleeping on the floor. But this was not enough information for the job centre. So after 10 weeks, I'd still not received anything. So I had to go to, of all the places to have a coming out party, Moss Side Job Centre, which was not the pinnacle of diversity that I was hoping for. And I walked in to be met by a grey-haired, obese woman called Beverly, probably in about her 50s. And I said, explain the situation. Beverly went, it's because you are living with a woman and we have firm reason to believe you may be an heterosexual. I said, well, I have firm evidence to suggest, Beverly, that I may be a homosexual. And she said, what evidence would this be? And I said, well, some rather choice photographs on an old mobile, but let's not look at those here. So we sat there and it confused Beverly. It flummoxed her. She had heard of the gays. She'd never met one. So she did what anyone would do in that situation. She said, I'm going to have to ring a manager. So we sat there while she's awkwardly on the phone, waiting for the manager to answer. At this point, she's readjusting the elasticated wrist cast that she's got on. She's got one of those gel pads in front of a keyboard. You know, she's got carpal tunnel. I'm like, you haven't got carpal tunnel, Beverly. You're just lazy. And she sat in one of those ergonomically adjusted office chairs with a sign on the back that says, Beverly's do not adjust. At this point, the manager connects and Beverly goes, my manager says, can you prove it? And I thought, well, I can, but it's going to get very weird in the middle of the job centre. And apart from essentially noshing off one of the staff, I wasn't sure how else to prove it. I wasn't carrying any eggs, so I couldn't knock up a quiche, so I was flummoxed. At this point, Beverly sat there. The manager's got an idea. I'm not sure what she's doing. She's probably thumbing through a book of minorities to see how to catch us out. And at this point, Beverly's readjusting the pictures of dogs that she adopts from the Dogs Trusts around her around her screen. And she goes, "Oh, it's nice, so he writes to me, you know." And I went, "I'm pretty sure that dog is not writing to you, Beverly. Whoever it is that's writing to you, that border collie is not the guy doing it." So she sat there and Beverly goes, "Oh, my manager says, what's the best Madonna album going?" And I was like, well, that's really stereotyping, you know, to think that all gay men would be into Madonna albums, Beverly. And she went, "Oh, so you don't know Mr. Anstock?" And I went, "Well, I didn't say I didn't know Beverly, did I? I mean, you might go from Confessions on a Dance Floor from 2005, which was quite a disco revelation, but following on from Music in 2000, I can't really think that it competes. And if that goes up against Ray of Light from 1997, that's also going to fall out. And really, if you're going to put that up against any other album, can it compete against Bedtime Stories? I don't think so. And the sequential melodies of Erotica? No. And will it win against True Blue? Definitely not. So that can only leave 1989's Like a Prayer. And with that, she just picked up the phone and she went, "He's gay, pay the man." Anyway, thanks for spending some time with me. Keep supporting St Anne's Hospice, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Anna Spark, and although I know I look like I'm about to do an improvisational troupe comedy, I'm actually going to try and do stand-up comedy. We could do a bit of improvisation if anyone can just shout out a phrase for me. Anybody? Situation? No? Okay, the time zone is getting in the way of us being able to do improvisation, so I'll just stick to stand-up. Now, doing comedy like this online right now for me without an audience is really, it feels a lot like dying, which is one of the reasons why the only people I felt comfortable enough doing this for were the staff of a hospice. If anyone's going to be able to understand a death when they see one, it's going to be you guys. And also, I know Carla's probably mentioned that she has a lot of dark comedy friends. I'm one of them, and my humour can be quite dark. And I've decided to have no holes barred on this stand-up set for you guys, considering I'm sure you guys have a dark sense of humour as well. So yeah, no holes barred, like a really good Pornhub channel. You know the saying, snug as a bug in a rug? I think we should change that. I think it should be snug as a butt plug. Because with or without experience, we all know how tight that fucker has to be, right? It comes with a stopper, for Christ's sake. I was looking at butt plugs online purely for research purposes, and I found ones with animal tails, and I thought, that's insane. With enough muscle control, you could make that wag. So I tried it on my boyfriend, but everyone has their own sexual quirks, right? One of my friends, she told me that she cries when she comes, and I thought, fuck, that is hard to fake. But she's in musical theatre, so it's fine. Personally, I twitch when I come. It's not a cute little it's like a And one time I twitched so hard that I headbutted my partner and the horse just kicked me straight in the face, which explains a lot. But I think orgasms are a funny concept in general. I think it's interesting that everyone you've ever met, that you know, that you will ever know, were all created by a male orgasm. Like everyone watching, all of your dads went and disappointed your mum, you know? But how many of us had a female orgasm involved in our conception? I think it changes you as a person. Like Boris Johnson, his mum didn't come. You can just tell, right? Like, oh, one does not squirt. Honey, sometimes one does. But David Attenborough's mum came. Like, you can tell, right? Like, just filled the Pacific Ocean. Like, watch out. She's a squirter and he's a sperm whale. I just made that up on the spot. Don't improvise when you're on recording. But yeah, so I usually at this point we'll pick out what looks like a sheepish male audience member, which we will not do obviously, and just go, oh, what's your name, sir? David, lovely to meet you. You seem lovely. I'm sure your mum squirted all over your dad's face. So that's you guys seeing behind the veil of comedy. When it's recorded in a living room, or what I like to call the ultimate green room, I don't get to pick out an audience member. I'm just staring at a laundry basket saying that, but it still feels real. But I think I know what happened with me when I was conceived. My mum was about to come and then my dad fell asleep, and that's why I'm a lazy cunt. But I really like the word cunt, and I have been told not to say it, mostly by older men. They usually go, oh, no, it sounds filthy coming out of your mouth. And I'm like, well, it looks filthier on my mouth, sir. And, I have twice the right to say the word cunt, because I was made in a cunt while making my own cunt, then came out of a cunt with the ability to make more cunts. So I having to deal with you cunts, so I can say the word cunt. I'll just pretend I'm getting a round of applause. But yeah, so a lot of people think that I moved from Australia to England for stand-up comedy, which isn't true. I moved there for the cheap cocaine. Now, for anyone that doesn't know how much cocaine is in Australia, it's $350 a gram. And what I like doing that joke at live venues is usually you hear an intake of breath from only a few people, and you know they're the ones that you're going to ask for coke in the toilets later. But yeah, the coke over in Australia, it's so expensive, it's daylight robbery. I tried telling the cops about it, but they weren't helpful, so I started selling it. Cocaine in Australia is cut to shit. It's cut with paracetamol, it's cut with meth, that's the good stuff, and it's cut with gluten. And I actually witnessed my celiac friend ask our drug dealer, is this cocaine gluten-free? Because their body's a temple, and she wants to know exactly why she's shitting herself later. But yeah, like I love a dive bar just as much as the next person, or probably a little bit more, to be honest. And one time I was in a dive bar and I was in the toilet, you just go into the loo, and there's a shelf there which is for drinks, but everyone knows it's for limes. And as I was sitting on the loo, I looked up and there was a lime there, and I thought, no one's that stupid. No one leaves behind a lime. So I tasted it and I was like, well, could be shit coke, could be the coke I sell. So I snorted it, and as I finished snorting it, I realised what mistake I'd made. I looked up and there was a hole in the drywall, and I realised that someone had clearly gone, someone's going to be this fucking stupid, and they're absolutely right. It was me. And instead of a cheap high, I got asbestos poisoning and absolutely plastered. Oh, God. This is painful. Right, well, look, considering we've got through a couple of topics, I'm sure you guys are okay with abortions, right? Death at any stage of life. I had an abortion a few years ago, so I've written some jokes about them, about the one abortion I've had. But one of the reasons why I like the fact that I've had an abortion is if a guy hits on me at the bar and I'm not interested, I can go, no, you don't want this. My cunt's haunted. And I like the idea of taking someone on a ghost tour of my vagina. And I just go, bring a lantern. And we're walking down my vagina because it's that wide these days because of all the horses. And we get to the cervix. And this is where most of the fucked up shit happens. There's screaming, moaning, at least once a month, like The Shining. The elevator doors open and blood just pours down, which is much better than a baby, in my opinion. But when I went to the operation, there was people picketing out the front, which I thought was funny because the doctor was picking it out of my front. But because of them protesting, and they wanted to take photos of you to blackmail you, which is stupid because I'm narcissistic. I had to sneak in the back way, which is ironic because if I did that in the first place, I wouldn't be in the joint. But it was quite sweet. My mum and my sister came to the operation and they brought flowers and balloons, and the balloons said, "Congratulations, it's a future," which was really touching, But I'm trying to think of how to do this bit without like audience interaction. But when people have when you have a runny nose, when you have a blocked nose, it's almost as if you never appreciated having a clear nose, right? It's a bit like periods or US mass shootings. We never appreciate the peacetime, and before you know it, there's another Columbine, which is what I call my period because there's blood screaming and at least one dead kid. Anyway, I hope that's been dark enough for you guys, and I really do hope that you have enjoyed this, and if not this, that you've enjoyed the other acts. You guys honestly do, even though I'm an atheist, you do God's work. with palliative care and all that. So I really do appreciate what you're doing, and I hope that you can get through COVID-19 just as much as the rest of us, and that we'll be able to do a live show for you in the future. Thanks so much for listening. I've been Anna Spark. Have a wonderful evening.
Hello, it's great to be here. Thank you ever so much for having me. It's not even plugged in. Thanks. This is gives me something to do, done it during lockdown. I am very bored. What have I been up to? I cancelled my car insurance today. Not because of the pandemic. It's just I'm with Churchill and fuck getting involved in that shit. Last thing I want is a bunch of football hooligans guarding me Vauxhall course, and no thank you. Oh, God almighty, how boring is this? I never thought that it was going to be as dull as this. I thought that with like infinite amounts to watch on Netflix and shit like that, I thought it was going to be fine forever, but I'm feeling the pinch, man. Lockdown's changed me. It's definitely made me more xenophobic. Like before lockdown, I was like, you know, I voted Remain. I was like, you know, open borders and stuff. As soon as coronavirus came along, I was like, close the fucking borders. I was looking at what was happening in fucking Spain and Italy. Don't want them coming over here, coughing on our pensioners. Absolutely not, mate. Shit, my girlfriend bought a jar of Dolmio sauce. I wouldn't let it in the fucking house. We're meant to be having that for dinner. It's staying in the fucking garden, girl. What's for tea? Spaghetti with breathing difficulties? I don't think so. Do you know what my biggest worry is? Is that everyone else is spending their time better than me. Like, I'm really worried about how I'm going to explain this in 50 years. You know, when you got grandkids and that, and they ask you about what it was like during the pandemic, and they say, what did you get up to? What sort of things did you do? And they're expecting me to have all these stories and stuff. And I'm going to have to think of telling them something that isn't the truth, which is I damn near pulled my own dick off. This is where I'm at. I've been masturbating so much that the other day I was halfway through a wank and I was like, I'm not even enjoying this. I wasn't even putting any technique in it. It was just like I was mashing spuds. I wasn't having a good time at all. Oh, God. I've been watching loads of telly. That's my thing as well, man. I fucking... Love Island is my... I don't like watching, like, what would you call it? Intellectual television. It just doesn't... I don't know how anyone can relax to like nature documentaries and shit. It makes you think too much. I like watching mind-numbing shit. That's Love Island is my favourite fucking show. I don't care who knows it. I love it. Although I've been going back and I've been re-watching Love. I know what happens. I know who couples up with who. I know who wins. I know what and yet I'll re-watch it 1,000 times. There's controversy about it at the moment, though. Just the last couple of years, there started being controversy about Love Island because there's not enough body diversity. Where's the body diversity? Why? Oh, why is there no body diversity? And if you don't know what that means, it's code for where are the fat cunts? Who'd want to watch a fat Love Island? That'd be tragic. Just a load of people led around moaning that it's too fucking hot. Occasionally one of them goes in the pool with the t-shirt still on. Every once in a while you hear a phone go off. Oh, I've got a text. Oh, it's Deliveroo. Can't have a recoupling because they won't all fit around the fire pit. It'd be fucking shit. Unless they mean, like, have one fat person in Love Island. But that'd be even worse. You know what I mean? Just like, you imagine, like, tonight, 2 new arrivals enter the villa, and one of them's like a 6'4" chiseled Greek god, and the other one's 48-year-old Keith from Wigan. Just like, I came here to find love. So shut up, Keith, you can't even find your own dick. Here's the thing, right? Here's the reason that fat people don't want to be on Love Island. And I'm saying this as a fat man myself, right? The reason that there ain't no fat people on Love Island is because we don't want to be on Love Island. What's in it for us? It's in 6 weeks with nothing to do apart from work out, surrounded by beautiful women that don't want to fuck you. That's our idea of torture. Jeez, call me when there's Slag Island. I'd quite happily spend 6 weeks fingering women on a veranda. Couple up with some single mum that quite happy to wank me off in the mornings if it means not having to make her kids pack lunches every morning. Oh shit. There's some shows that fat people should just not be on. Why is that a controversial thing to say? There's some TV programmes that we just aren't cut out for. But having said that, there's other TV programmes that don't feature fat people that absolutely should. One idea, the London Marathon. How good would that... At the moment, the London Marathon is just full of people that look like they could run a marathon. Who's that interesting for? Here's what they should do, is they should have fat people run the London Marathon, but they should have them in the same race as the people that do fancy dress. How good would that be to watch? What, some 20-stone bloke running a marathon, finishing in between a mermaid and a post box? Here's another show that does it. Right, Great British Bake Off. That show should be full of fat cunts. That's literally cakes and sweets and stuff. That's literally what we're the best at. And yet it's full of fucking skinny little people that look like they've never eaten a pie in their fucking lives. Every contestant on Bake Off should be fat, and none of them are. Every year I hope for a fat person on Bake Off, and every year they give you the same type of contestant over and over and over again. Like, they always have like the yummy mummy on there, and then they always have like a sassy gay guy, and then they've always got like a non-white person who makes ingredients from her heritage. Do you know what I mean? Like, every week it's like, this week Mukti is going to be making a scone with lamb and couscous, inspired by her Moroccan heritage. It's like, well, Mukti can fuck off. Like, I'm a pretty multicultural guy, but if Mukti makes a scone with lamb and couscous, then I'm joining a Britain First rally. Don't give a shit, mate. Fucking lamb and couscous in your scone. Come on, Mukti. How would you feel if I went on Moroccan TV and made a tagine with angel delight and fucking potato smiley faces, inspired by Freddie's working class northern heritage? And you always tell as well that the judges come round and they're like, oh, Mukti's using very interesting ingredients. But in their head they're like fucking looking at a scone with paprika on it. You see their faces eating, and you can see that they're trying not to fucking different flavour. But in their head they're going, why the fuck am I eating a spicy scone? Oh, I can't wait for this shit to be over, man. I can't wait for lockdown to be over. I can't wait for live comedy to be back. I can't wait for us all to be back enjoying ourselves. And I hope to see you, and I hope you see each other very soon. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
3 acts telling it like it bloody is, eh? Am I right? I'm not bloody wrong. So another 3 acts down. I hope you've got a break, hope you've got a beer, hope you've got a gin, hope you've got, I don't know, whatever you have an intravenous line to crack. Not yourself, whatever you want to do. Probably don't do crack. I've heard it's quite bad for you. Gives you a jibby tummy. So we've got another 3 wonderful acts coming up. Remember to donate to win all those wonderful prizes. One of them's a Reiki session, if you believe in all that. And there's so many other, a personal trainer session. Ooh, personal though. So he'll look at you and go, I'll tell you what you need. And then you feel a little bit offended, and then you realise, probably should get that done. And you'll have a little cry, have another wine, and then you'll have a cake, and you go, oh gosh, I shouldn't have had that cake. And then you go back to the personal trainer. It's a vicious circle, isn't it? I understand why there's all this pressure on women. And men, you know what I mean? Oh God. So much pressure. Anyway, here we go. We've got another 3 acts for you. Remember to donate, remember to text into 700. 700, I'd say it's the worst James Bond character ever. 70085, that's £5, will enter you into the prize draw. SAH Laughs, text that to 70085 and you can get in the prize draw with all those wonderful prizes. Now, the last 3 acts of the evening are absolutely wonderful, very good friends of mine as well. We've got Josh Jones, who is an absolute delight. Steve Allen, and one of my favourite acts in the whole wide world, Mick Ferry. Just be aghast at his wonderful facial hair. He's a good man, he's a funny man, and you're going to enjoy him a lot. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy the final 3 acts of the evening.
Hello, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all raise a lot of money for this. Thank you so much for having me. These online gigs are so strange, they're so different from our normal gigs because I'm from Manchester, so normally my gigs are in the northwest of England in working men's clubs on Friday and Saturday nights for big burly boys on the stag do, and they all start shouting out straight away and they try to put me down, so I have to let them know at the beginning. I'm like, boys, listen, I might evidently be gay as fuck with a personality that's brighter than the sun itself, but I'm not a pushover. Start running your mouth and I will shove my cock in it. So that's how I pay me rent normally. Obviously I'm like a camp gay person, which was terrible growing up, you know, getting bullied, but it's so much fun being a camp gay adult because you get away with everything. A camp gay guy could say something to his colleague at work and she'd be like, oh, he's just so funny and sassy, he's just so funny and sassy. No, Susan, he's just called you a fat bitch. Open your ears, Susan. He's ripping you to shreds here, and you haven't even noticed because you're distracted by his high-pitched voice and his flimsy wrists. That's why our wrists do that. It's some sort of gay voodoo, so we can say offensive stuff and you don't punch us in the face. But when you're this camp, a lot of people think you're putting it on. A girl came up to me after a show and she goes, can I just say, babe, your gay voice is really good, really believable. And I was like, wow, she thinks this is a choice, like somebody would choose to sound like Liam Gallagher on Helium. No. But don't worry, I'm not just going to speak about being gay. I've got loads of stuff going for me. I'm gay, I'm dyslexic, and I'm left-handed. Just a Catholic teacher's worst nightmare. I hope like isolation hasn't been too bad for you. I've been up and down. The hardest thing for me is like trying to eat well. And not like just be at the fridge all the time, like, oh, especially because I've just started eating meat again because I was a vegan for 3 years. So for 3 years I did not eat animals, but then I was bitten by a dog and I thought, do you know what, they're not even grateful, fuck them. So I am eating meat again. I don't eat beef or pork though, just dog. So I've just spent most of my isolation hiding in bushes at the park waiting for the Jack Russell to come because I'm starving. But trying to exercise more, I've been jogging, I even went on a cycle, which is terrible. I'm not good at riding a bike. My last proper job, well, was it a proper job? My last job before being a stand-up was involved riding a bike. I was an Uber Eats cyclist, so I'd cycle around Manchester delivering food. And when you work for Uber Eats, you have to follow a map on your phone, and the map took me onto a place called the Mancunian Way. Now, if you don't know the Mancunian Way, it's a dual carriageway. It's basically a mini motorway on top of a massive bridge with no pavement and no escape. And because I'm so ditzy, it took me a minute to realise where I was. So by the time I got there, it was too late to turn around. And everyone was so angry. All these cars started beeping. I was just there like cycling, like doo-doo-doo. All these cars started beeping, like everyone was just beeping. So I did what anybody would do in that situation, and I just started crying. But then I couldn't see because of the wind and the tears. But eventually, after what felt like 7 years, I finally got off the Mancunian Way. But because I was so flustered, I'd just become so close to death. I ate the pizza I was supposed to be delivering, and then I just deleted the Uber Eats app. And that's how I became a full-time stand-up comedian. So yeah, I'm not cycling, doing a bit of jogging and that. It's hard to exercise in this flat. It's such a tiny flat, like we don't have a balcony or anything. I've just been stood at the window like, oh. But I don't know, I think I want to move out of this flat as soon as I get the opportunity now. I'm a bit fed up of it. But it was good when we first moved in. But when we did first move in, the landlord only gave us one fob to share between me and my flatmate. Well, he was my boyfriend before lockdown. Now we're flatmates. Called the liars. So anyway, the landlord gave me and my flatmate this fob to share. And I was complaining to my friends about having to share this fob. Do you know a fob that gets you in the main door of the building? And I was complaining to all my friends about it, and one friend was looking at me like I'm a terrible person because she's from Australia. I didn't know that fob over there means something completely different, and it's short for fresh off the boat, and it's a really racist and horrible term, and that's what she thought I meant for like a full minute. So for a full 60 seconds, she thought that me and my boyfriend was sharing a pet immigrant. Yeah, and obviously what I was saying was completely innocent, but in her head it must have sounded horrible, because I was saying stuff like, oh, I couldn't be bothered going downstairs to let my boyfriend in, so I just threw the fob out the window. You know, she was like, Josh, you racist piece of shit. Eventually, we figured out it was a big misunderstanding. Oh, wow, we laughed. Ha ha ha. But the next day, I woke up and I thought, hang on, I've known her for about over a year now. And she thought, no, took her like a full minute to be like, no, Josh isn't the sort of person to throw an immigrant out of a window. Sorry, I was talking to you and then I got a little bit distracted because a text came through because I was doing it on my laptop, but then and I dropped my laptop while I was in the bath. It didn't go in the bath. Anyway, this has got nothing to do with anything, but I got a little bit distracted then by my friend texting me about nachos. Interesting. Anyway, so I don't know how long I'm supposed to do. I'll start wrapping it up now, but alright, I'll end it on this, because, you know, isolations, like, people are allowed to start banging now. If you're in someone's bubble, you're allowed to go in the bubble and start banging. So I'll give you a little bit of a tip. If you don't like it when a man comes in your mouth, you don't like the taste of it, tell him that he turns you on if he comes like somewhere else, and he'll start doing it there instead and stop doing it in your mouth because he thinks he's doing you a favour. I do it all the time with my boyfriend. Every time my boyfriend's about to come, I'm like, oh, you're about to come, baby? It'll really turn me on if you come in this tissue and flush it down the toilet. And I'll be like, now wash your hands, you filthy bastard. I actually told that joke just before lockdown in Manchester, and it was the first time my mum saw me do stand-up. and I could see her face in the audience. She was fuming. She was so pissed off that I was giving away family secrets. So yeah, I hope you all raise some money and stuff. I hope you raise a lot of money. Sorry about my nacho text. It was not very professional. I should have turned the text off. Yeah, hope you all have a lovely night. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.
Hello, it's nice to be here. That's what I'd normally say if I were on stage. But it is nice to be here because I'm at home. I'm saving on petrol. Who would have thought by this age I would be making a living by performing on a webcam in one of my bedrooms? I always knew it was a career option. I just didn't think it would happen at this age. I should have done it earlier. Things were more elastic back then. But anyway, hello. It's really nice to be here. Sorry for anyone who's seen me on the MASH Report. I no longer look like the person on the MASH Report. I thought it would be appropriate to grow facial hair that befits the level of emotional crisis that we're all having. At some point I will have to trim it off because during lockdown I've been going for a run and genuinely someone shouted "Run Forrest" at me and I realised running with a beard, I've got nothing against Forrest Gump, but that's not the Forrest you want to be. You want to be the one with the chocolates or being really good at getting shrimp. You don't want to be the one who runs a lot or catches something from Jenny. So I know where I'm going in life. I will get rid of it. But it's nice to be here. Yay! Already, I can tell this is going to be a great gig because normally our biggest fear at these things is things like hen nights. You're probably not a hen night, and even if you are, I can't hear you. Oh, this is a step in the right direction. I don't know if you've ever done stand-up, but hen nights are our natural predator. You walk on stage, you see those L plates, you think, oh no. And then even worse, the penis straws. If you're not aware of what they are, it's a straw, and the end of the straw is shaped like a penis. They name them well. I find those offensive to my people because, well, it's our shape. Maybe you shouldn't culturally appropriate it, ladies, because it only ever goes that way round. You only ever get hen nights drinking out of penis straws. You never see stag doos drinking out of pint glasses. You already know where I'm taking this joke, but I'm still going to do it. You never see stag doos drinking out of pint glasses shaped like foo-foos. And it's a shame, because I think that would be quite nice, you know. To Dave! To Dave! So, that's not all we're here to talk about, is it? We are in lockdown, and what am I to do? Because I used to be something of an observational comedian, and now I have observed nothing. What am I going to do a type 5 about? What's the deal with showers? If you don't put them in your Google Calendar, you just don't get round to them. Am I right? So, it's difficult. I've not really seen anything. I mean, I have been leaving the house. I went to the park relatively recently, and I've learned this. My ability to dress myself has got worse. Before the lockdown, if I was walking in a park in my shorts, and how does one phrase this? If I was dropping ball out of one side, I would have known. You could just feel it, maybe the breeze or something. I know something wasn't right, but that could have been happening. That's just how I dress all the time now. I'm just used to that feeling. There's always one popping out the side. This is why webcams are great. I don't want to make it seem like I've been lonely during lockdown, but during one particularly tricky week, I painted a red face on it and called it Wilson. But that's not what we're here to talk about, is it? So yeah, I am slightly worried about what it's going to be like at the end of this, when we have to leave the house again, because I'm an introvert. This is the introverted lockdown. No handshakes, no hugging, no having to meet up with people. You work from home, and if anyone wants you to go anywhere, you can definitely cancel and self-isolate for 14 days. Come on! There are some things that aren't great for us introverts. Like it said in one of the newspapers, that when you leave the house, you should make sure you don't use your finger to use things like buttons and cash points. Now, I can't tell you what I used instead on that cash point, but I can tell you that I'm now not legally allowed within 50 yards of it. It was my willy. Used my willy on a cash point. And actually, gents, it's a pretty good idea. You should try it. Only thing I had to do was I had to change my PIN number to 7899 because couldn't reach the other rows. That's not what we're here to talk about either. But as my personality type, an introvert, I'm an INTJ, which means I follow rules. So I've been really strict during this lockdown. It also means if I break a rule, it probably means the rule is at fault rather than me. So I've been thinking about all of the rules that I've been breaking. And the closest one is, you know when they say don't put cotton buds in your ears? I do. I'm not even going to apologise, because sometimes, you know when you get that sweet spot, it's just the best part of the day, your back leg comes up like you're a dog being scratched. There are some worries that we do need to address. There's a headline, I think I've got the technology to be able to show you the headline that I saw, front page of the Star, has the word shocker on it, because all front pages of the Star have to have the word shocker. And bald men are more at risk of this coronavirus, and as you can tell from the it's a worry, and you may not know what it's like for us. It's not easy knowing that we are at greater risk. Every time we leave the house, we go through something like this. The struggle is real. Listen, thank you very much. It's been really nice to be here. I got to go because I've got a banana bread in the oven. That's one thing I've actually observed during lockdown. The worse the banana, the better the banana bread. I've also learnt that the same is not true for meatloaf. Long story. Anyway, thank you very much. I've been Stephen Allen. Goodbye.
So there you go. I mean, this is bizarre for everybody, isn't it? Let's be honest. I'm sat in my, well, I'm not sat, I'm actually stood in my front room in front of a backdrop talking to the internet. I don't know if people are listening, watching. I must admit, I do. It's a fine line, isn't it, from stand-up online to tuning into somebody who's got some crackpot conspiracy theories, which is how I've spent most of my lockdown so far doing. It's been amazing though, the lockdown, hasn't it? It's been stunning. Who knew that we were a nation of collaborators? Fucking every one of us. Yeah, God, if the Germans had invaded, yeah, they'd have had no problem, people helping them out. I've had neighbours grassing up over neighbours because they're in their own garden. We fucking love a hotline, don't we? It's mental. It's absolutely mental. And also, do you know the weirdest conversation I've had so far in lockdown is with a friend of mine who said, about 3 weeks in, I was on the phone to him and just out of nowhere said, you've got to feel sorry for drug dealers. Sorry? Said, yeah, you got to feel sorry for drug dealers. Must be tough on them. Oh, fuck. Not the millions that have been furloughed. The drug dealers. Shit. Yeah, I better call one of them. Check out how they do. I found out though since that dealers have been doing very well out of this lockdown. Apparently, we've had a bit of a fucking boom. Now, some drugs I can imagine for lockdown. Weed, perfect. Perfect drug for a lockdown. It's fantastic, isn't it? It's great. Sit in your garden, burning stuff, smoking weed. So, cocaine. Who's doing cocaine though in their own house? What kind of a nutter would you have to be doing cocaine in your own house? It must be awful. Mom, Dad's angry again. He's calling everybody arseholes. He's talking about football. He wants to start a business in Croatia. Worst drug you can possibly have. So, I've not done any. Just been doing what everybody does. Drinking, burning stuff when the weather's nice. That's basically it. The year started badly anyway for me, because just before the new year, my mum died. And then during lockdown, my dad's died. So, yeah. I'll hit you with that. My dad didn't die of COVID. He just died. Well, he didn't just die. He died of a couple of things, dementia and so on. What was wrong with him? But when my mum died, we had the funeral on Christmas Eve, which was bizarre. And I'd never lost anybody before in my life. I'd never had a death like that before, and I'd never had to organise any kind of funeral. It was bizarre. It was. Thank God, I've got family members. My sister, she was good at that. She's good at admin. I'm not. Terrible. Because if it was up to me to sort out my mum's funeral, my mum would still be pinned to the fridge door, and every time I went to get the milk, I'd be, I'm going to have to sort her out. She's starting to smell. The thing that was shocking about the entire process was the cost of it, the cost of a funeral. Fucking hell.
It's mental. The flowers for the coffin, right? Flowers for the coffin, 85 quid a flower. For the letter. You know what the spell the names? 85 quid. A fucking letter. I mean, luckily she was called Anne, so saved a few quid. We did have people as well at the funeral going, I thought she spelt it with an E. Did she? Well, I can't remember. And my own kids were going, we didn't call her Nan, we called her Grandma. She said, fuck up, she called Nan today. Saved me a fortune. So yeah, and then having my dad's funeral as well during the lockdown was weird. 8 of us at a crematorium. No service. I had to do the service, which was, well, gig's a gig. Fuck it, I got paid as well. But it's hard to do the grieving process yet because everybody's in a shit situation. So you've not been stoic about it, but you've got to sort of take it on the chin and sort of ride with it. Was before we put him in the home, I was doing things I thought I'd never do, like giving my dad a shave. I don't know if anybody's done that for an elderly relative. Give them a shave. Yeah, that was weird. Shaving his face. I never thought I'd be shaving my dad's face. Shaving his balls was weird. That was bizarre. I didn't have to shave them. That was a weird thing. I don't know why I started shaving them. They were just hanging there one day in the shower. And I said, Dad, I'll sort them out for you. Oh. Old men's balls. Oh, fucking hell. Unbelievable. It didn't matter what pair of underwear I put on my dad. A ball would hang out. See, I could put a wetsuit on him and one of his balls would be hanging out the bottom of the leg. It was just mind of their own. I know mine are going the same way. And that's a proper old man thing. You end up with big balls. In a warm bath, I can stretch my scrotum now, and I can stretch it that far that I can jump from tree to tree like a flying squirrel. Yep, there's an image for you. So I've realised as well that in this lockdown, I'm actually old, and I hate it. I'm 51 now, and I found out I was really old last year when I find out now that I'm in an age group, and this is a lot of you are in this age group, and this is when you're really old. I don't fall over anymore. I have what's called a fall. Now, there's a big difference. Now, when you fall over, people laugh at you. They take the piss. They go, oh, look at Ferry, the fat fuck, he's fallen over. But when you've had a fall, it's different. People are concerned. They're worried about you. And it's embarrassing. See, I fell over in my pub, my local pub, about a year ago, and this is when I realised I was old. I was waiting for the laughter. I was waiting for, you fat fuck, you're falling over, look at you fat fuck, Mick Ferry, he's falling over, laugh at him. No, nothing. Concern. 2 young men came around, are you alright, pal, you've had a fall? It's like, fuck off, I had a fall, I'll fucking knock you out in a minute, you pair of fannies. Maybe you could help us up. That took a while. It's shit. It's shit getting old. It's been weird as well because I'm in lockdown with grown-up kids, which I don't know if any of you are. I mean, that's it's a bit different because, well, my son's been cutting my hair. He's not doing a bad job. I've cut his hair as well. He's all right. I mean, it's 2. I shouldn't let him have scissors. But it's weird. I'll tell you what I've noticed difference when you're living with grown-up kids. The conversations change massively. Instead of me screaming when I open the fridge, like, who's eating the chocolate biscuits? It's like, who's had my fucking cider? And me ketamine. Oh, yeah. That'll be the one in the paddling pool. It's hard. It's been tough. It's been tough. We live in a tiny house. There's 4 adults. There's me, my other half. I do have an elder daughter, but I've not seen her for about 8 years. Sadly, what happened was 8 years ago, she was 22 at the time. Her and her friend went to Paris. I didn't want them to go. In the middle of the night, she phoned me to tell me that somebody was breaking into the apartment and kidnapping them. And there was nothing I could do about it. I just didn't have the skills. Just had to listen to it all on the phone. It was quite depressing. Yeah, for the yours who are watching now, that's Taken. It's from Taken. Yeah. I'll imagine one of you's already shouted out the screen. I'd tell you what I have done, I am enjoying about being old slightly, is I can legitimately, I think, complain a bit more. I mean, I've always been a whinging fuck. Those who know me, I've always been a moaner. I've always been bad. But I've got a list of people that I'd like to put up against a wall and shoot. And a lot of people reckon it's for petty reasons, but it's not. Right, let's start with this one. People who use mother and child parking spots, well, they've not got a kid in the car. Why don't we start with them pricks? Eh? Put them against the wall, shoot them. And if you ever see that happen, you should approach them. I always do. I always ask them. I always say, I've just seen you park up. Mother and child spot, where's your kid? Well, you better be in the boot at least. And I often wonder if that'd appease me. If they lifted the boot and went, he's there, I go, all right, fair enough, crack on. You've not broke any laws. Well done. What else? People who can't travel backwards on trains. Why are you allowed in society? What are you offering? What are you offering to us all? You can't travel backwards on a train. You're a fucking idiot. Why can't you travel backwards on a train with your made-up condition? It makes me feel ill. Doesn't? It's pathetic. And when there's a revolution, you're going to be executing people who can't travel backwards by train. An electric chair, backwards. Be the last time you'll be complaining. Selfie sticks. They piss me off. You know why I don't like selfie sticks? Well, I think if you own one, you're a bit of a prick anyway. But when I first saw a selfie stick, I had no idea what the fuck it was. No idea. I just thought it was a really confident blind man. I was like, look at him filming himself get about town. Well done, pal. Fucking good on you. Oh, it's a new one. People are on my list. And I've met some of you. Now, before lockdown, I've had a dog. I've had a dog for a few years. Now, on my dog walk, regular dog walk, which I'm allowed to do by the government every day, an hour or more, usually more, we've encountered dog walkers I've never seen before. And there's people buying dogs for the lockdown. What the fuck is wrong with you? And they're not even buying normal dogs or going to a rescue centre because they follow somebody on Instagram that looks like a fucking haunted geranium. They're buying these dogs that they're so fucked up, they've got flat noses, they can't breathe properly. They're dragging them around the park because they're trendy. You're a fucking idiot. I've actually complained to a couple of people. I said, why have you bought that dog? You're complicit in the cruelty of that animal because of the inbreeding. Oh, fuck's inbreeding. Explains a lot. Tapas. Sorry, if you're into tapas, if you're Spanish, tapas can fuck right off. No time for tapas. No time at all. For a start, stop putting food in ashtrays. Why don't we start with that? Yeah? Tiny ashtrays. Seriously, if your meals are that big and you need to have a sleep during the day, maybe that's why the economy in Spain is fucked. Get out of bed, you lazy fuckers. Make a bigger tea. That's what the Catalonians should have done, voted in the afternoon. They wouldn't have known about it. I once told an audience that I didn't like tapas and I got booed. Seriously. Not all of them, just a small portion. Yeah, I know, that's probably made a few of you quite angry. Right. It's not a joke I'm proud of.
So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, 9 acts, 9 wonderful acts. I hope they had tickled your funny bone. I hope they didn't. Actually, that would be really annoying, wouldn't it? I hope they just made you laugh. I hope no one actually came into your house and actually got hold of your skeleton and tickled it. That'd be fucking weird, wouldn't it? Oh, I tickled your funny bone. Get off. Anyway, we had 9 fantastic acts. I think you'll agree. So please do follow them on social media. Make sure that these people have got a career and do support live comedy. Do appreciate that. But also please donate towards the charity tonight, which was St Anne's Hospice. It's a big comedy benefit show for you, your entertainment. £5 gets you to the prize draw. That's SAH laughs to 70085. £5 gets you to the prize draw. Donate as much as you can, or as little as you can, as little as you can. As much or as little as you can. That's not. No, don't do that. As little as you can does mean like literally nothing. What I meant was, if you can only donate a little, then that counts too. That's what I meant. God, I went around the houses there, didn't I? This is recorded. I could have cut it out. I'm not gonna. No. I refuse to claim I don't make mistakes. Actually, it's a 4th take, and this is still as good as it's getting. So the prizes, Sean Ryder's thing, so please do get involved and donate for us. But thank you very much for watching this as well, because as comedians we do like validation and we do like know people watching us. So if you did like anybody, follow them on social media and make sure we're validated. So give it up for all the actors. So I mean, you don't have to clap, we'll never know, but you can while I read the names out if you want. It was Big Lou, Harry Stakini, Cape Cabe. We also had Howard Hanston, sorry Howard. I'm not sorry, what are you going to do about it? You're not allowed here. Anna Spark, Freddie Quinn, Josh Jones, Steve Allen and Mick Ferry. What a bloody brilliant bill. Of course, it's not the last thing we're going to do. Before we do leave you, please enjoy this final video from a very special guest, the wonderful Mr. Tom Allen. I've been Matthew Reid. enjoy yourselves, look after yourselves, stay safe, and please donate. We really appreciate any money you can. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh, hello there. It's Tom Allen here, and I just wanted to say I'm delighted to be part of this wonderful evening for St Anne's Hospice. And I'm quite anxious about getting my angle right on this. I mean, they say underneath is not actually very flat. Maybe I should come lower than the camera on my phone. Anyway. Doesn't matter. Well done, everybody, on the lockdown, or as I like to call it, the smackdown. And I know this was supposed to be an evening at the Lowry in Salford. Salford, not Manchester. Thank you. I know that. But unfortunately, we can't all be together, but we are together in this lovely community, and I'm very delighted to be included. So thank you for having me. Thank you very much. I've learned a lot. I've been socially distancing, self-isolating in lockdown with my flatmates. They're called Dad and Mum, and I've learned a lot about them during this. I've learned that when they get on my nerves, I just lock them in a cupboard upstairs. That's fine. But also. Yes, sometimes I say it was an accident. Also, I've learned if you do need some time away, you can pretend you're on holiday, maybe to a spa resort, by locking yourself in the bathroom for 4 to 10 hours a day. Also, when we're doing the clap for carers, Mum loved to get overexcited about that and would treat it as an opportunity to do her hair. It was like she was going to a dinner dance or something. I thank goodness that I invested in some Le Creuset cookware for Mum and Dad to take out and bang. Le Creuset, of course, being very high-end cookware. I know that some of you might be based in Cheshire. I'm sure you've probably invested in Le Creuset cookware just to show off, just to have in the backgrounds of photographs that you send to your friends on your WhatsApp group, or maybe on that that thing that my mum and dad are obsessed with, which is the My Neighbour. Is that what it's called? Basically, bitch about your neighbours. Have you joined it? Oh, it's brilliant. Basically, someone around the corner will moan about something about the bins. Somebody will ask a question about something else. Somebody else will try and rent you their holiday home in the Algarve. No one's going on holiday. No one can get a flight anywhere. Can we go on holiday yet? I don't know. So that, I recommend that. And I bought my Le Creuset, actually, with some gift vouchers I had for John Lewis. Next question on the agenda is, why does Manchester, and I know a lot of people watching this might be in Cheshire, not in Manchester, or they might be in Salford, which is not part of Manchester. Why is there no John Lewis in Manchester? Because there is one in Liverpool, and I know that Manchester and Liverpool are famous rivals. This must be a source of great contention, am I right? Right? I can feel people shouting at their internet connections when I say that. But wouldn't it be nice? Maybe we should write to Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham? Is that his name? If you're going to be the Northern Powerhouse, Manchester, you've got to have a John Lewis. That's the rules. It used to be a city was determined by whether it had a cathedral or not. Now I think it's very much whether it has a John Lewis. But of course, you know, what's going on with the high street? We don't know. Debenhams, is it going to make it? We don't know. When the last time I went round to Debenhams, it had masking tape holding the floor together. So it's going to take a bit more than a bit of sellotape and a Jeff Banks range to keep that stalwart going. Am I right? Anyway, I have also found during the lockdown smackdown that I've enjoyed a lot of repeats on the television. Some better than others. I've very much enjoyed, well, I watch a lot of house programs, ironically, because I don't have my own. And it's the only escape I've got. I mean, basically, a Pinterest board and a bit of Channel 4. That's the closest I've got to my own home. And it's interesting because recently I was described as being like Kirsty Allsopp, trapped inside Phil Spencer. And that is an interesting program, isn't it? He does look a bit like me. But what is it? They're not married. They're just sort of rivals. And they find each other, they find their sort of clients, their dream home, but they don't like it. It's all a bit moany, really, isn't it? Or that other one, Escape to the Country, where someone goes, well, I have got a job doing a paper round and I'd like to buy a house in the countryside with my wife. What's your budget? £8 million. Like, what? Anyway, nice for some people, I'm sure. Escape to the countryside. I like the city, though. I like to live in a town. I like to live near people. I like people, what can I say? I'm a people person, which has made the lockdown smackdown very difficult. Zoom calls. What do you do on a Zoom call? You're supposed to be looking at the other person. You don't look at the other person. You just look at yourself. That's why I'm obsessed. I'm doing it now. I'm just doing a gig to myself. I am staring at the screen on my phone, talking to myself, making sure the light catches my eyes. Because actually, I think I've got quite nice eyes. There, I've said it. You've got to love yourself sometimes, haven't you? You've got to love your best feature. I like my eyes, and I like this bow tie, and I do like this pocket square, which I've not got the angle right, because if I tilt, oh no, that's better actually. Why didn't I do it? But then I have to slouch to get my whole head in. I've got quite a big forehead. Look, anyway, what am I turning this into? Ramblings. Thank you very much for supporting St Anne's this evening. What a wonderful opportunity to all come together. I know there will be other fundraising activities in the not too distant future. Please make sure that you engage in those. Please make sure that you keep supporting St Anne's and the wonderful work that they do. And I mean, I was going to do some material, but it seems a bit weird, doesn't it? So basically, what have I done? I've sat here in a bow tie, and I've bombarded you with some of my insecurities. Hey. Oh, and I've been exercising during the lockdown. Oh yeah, just to let you know. I've been on several runs, but then I get, is it housemaid's knee? I get a problem with my knee, so I had to stop. Good story, right? Oh, who needs Charles Dickens? Anyway, listen, keep supporting the hospice. Keep looking after each other. Keep looking out for each other. And being kind, wonderful people, as I know you all are. And I hope that I'm up in the Northwest very soon, because it really is the loveliest place. And even though Manchester hasn't got a John Lewis, I still like it very much there. And I've always fantasized about moving there. Maybe one day. Or Cheshire, if I really want to live it up posh. Oh, in Cheshire. But anyway, it would be nice if I had my own house, as any 37-year-old man should really have, rather than living with his parents. Anyway, this is not what this is about. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, and good night. Bye.